So you've got all your gear, you've figured out different ways to get things done, but you're still feeling stuck. Well, today we're going to give you some practical tips on how you can get that workflow back in flow. Get it going. We're gonna get it going. How you doing, Doc?
Hey, what is up, Lou? I am back. I am back. I am in action. I am so excited about this topic because legit, one of the things that we do in the work side of things is put together workshops and sort of facilitate some things that come through. And I see tons of the questions, the posts, the apprehensions, the whole 9 yards. And, this week for Getting Geared for Camp, one of the questions that Caleb and Paul put on everybody is like, oh, what are your content challenges? And then the other one I think Caleb just posted is like, what has you nervous or whatever? And I'm like, yo, they're going to hate my answer because everybody knows I don't get nervous. I just don't. And it sounds crazy. And I know people think I'm like BSing, but the cool thing about having an Aura ring is it actually shows you your stress, right? I never broached that line. And I'm always showing it. And then we were in Japan and Moms and Emma was driving me nuts. And I was like, look, let me show you. This is my stress thing. I never crossed that line. You guys are pushing me to the top of this line. You guys are getting on my nerves. And so it became the thing to sort of check your stress every day. But like I never stress. It's just something I don't do. And I think it just has to do with my experience of being in the military. I know what stress should look like, right? So everything else is calm to me. But if you have an Aura ring, it'll show you. And if you bust that top line, then you're stressed. Everything under that top line. I spend the majority of my time in even or relaxed. Because there's nothing to stress about. So when they say, like, what has you nervous? I'm like, I think I know what might have a lot of people nervous. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Cool. Yeah. And then I have opinions about nervous as well. So we can totally cover those that kind of stuff for you guys as well. But we've got to talk about today the physical things, gear, software. And of course, we're going to help you figure out how to work through those kind of things because sometimes it happens to me. It happens to me all the time where I get so much gear and it's not so bad now. Definitely now I'm I have everything I need. I have more than I need. I don't need to keep figuring things out. And I've actually gotten to the part where I'm paring things back. So a question for you, because you're also a gear guy. What is something that you recently took away that you're I thought this was going to make the difference, but you know what? I need to just not have this for right now.
There's so many. Oh my God, there's so many. I will start probably first and foremost with my Sony A7 IV, my full frame camera. Because when that's in my mix, I'm producing my videos like I'm producing client work. And it's completely unnecessary for YouTube, contrary to what most of you guys will watch, contrary to channels by all my camera friends. And then you often see these videos of best camera for YouTube, right? And it'll be the A7C, the A7 IV, the Canon R5, R6, R somebody. It's normally somewhere over 1,500, just under $5,000, plus a bunch of lenses. And nah, fam, honestly, DJI Osmo Pocket 3, $499, power off. That's it, right? Insta360 Go S, what is that? $399. That's it. Power off. That's it. Literally all you need, right? The DJI Creator Kit, $650, game recognized game. One of these little dudes in your office, if you're doing studio work, Osbot not Tail, what is this dude? Tiny? A little Osbot Tiny or Tiny 2. That's it. We really don't need all this stuff. So we've overcomplicated and we've let other people on the YouTube got us out here spending money. And if you ask all these guys, hey,
okay, right? Because that's fun, right? It's fun, if that's exciting for you. But then when it's causing you trouble, that's where you gotta really look at what's
Well,
What's the
and
problem
I'm a
here?
manual reader, right? I am a manual reader. I will get in there, I'll read the manual, I'll figure it out, I'll practice, I'll do some things. A whole bunch of people ain't, and I know because I see the questions. I see the questions that come in. Somebody, okay, guys, I just bought the Sony ZV E10 Mark II. What dummy battery do I need? Obviously, you should not crack the manual because in the manual on page 9, it says plug in the USB cable. You do not need a dummy battery. But now they're nervous about like dummy batteries and preventing overheating. And I'm like, you should have actually cracked the manual. It ain't that long. The other, like, let's see, 1/5 of the manual is English. The other fifth is French, German, Thai, and something else. That's why it's thick. It's not thick because the whole
It's like
thing is
not even
English.
that much.
Yeah, it's literally
Mhm.
like 12 pages of English. And I'm talking a small manual, right? The manual is smaller than this. So it's like 12 pages of English, really small, bunch of pictures. The rest of it is different languages and warranty information. So the manual is not even that hard. You could literally read it in 2 cups of coffee.
I love reading the manuals, honestly, because I'm a nerd. I like as a kid was always the one who's like, I got to read all the copy on the cereal box because I know somebody took time. Like I understood as a kid that somebody took time to do this. So I was like, out of respect, I need to read what's
Yeah.
on the back of this Lucky Charms box.
I used to like to read the
So with
cereal
the
boxes for design. And I didn't know at the time that what design was or whatever, but I kind of paid attention to the design, the coloring, and like what thought went into placing it different ways. And I remember the first frivolous McDonald's lawsuit had me cracking up laughing because I was just starting to understand graphic design. And it was after the coffee spill lady, it was somebody suing McDonald's because there wasn't that many cherries in the cherry pie as is on the box. And I'm like, the cherry pie wouldn't fit in this box, dummy, if it had as many cherries as on the box. So that's why they changed the boxes. If you're old school, you remember it had like all the cherries, all the apples and stuff in the box. And then it just became solid color boxes. And that's because of that stupid lawsuit.
Oh, but good for simplified, made it better, right? Because now it's not going to be an argument. So, a question for you guys, the audience, and please, we're here for you. We're here for creators to help you guys get unstuck and get your projects actually going because we want you to actually be creators. What's a piece of gear that is supposed to help you be great, but actually is dead weight? Let us know. Tell us which
I
one it is.
really love this question. It is definitely something that, even when we had our store, something that we would see the difference between the guys who were working, right? I'll pick on the wedding video camp because they're kind of the easiest ones, right? There was guys that would come in every day to get new, at that time you're doing DV tapes, right? Or
Mhm.
some form of tape media. So they would come in every week, get their tapes. You see them in their black outfit. They're ready to go to a wedding. And then you would have the guys that kind of whatever reason had unlimited budget, would buy like the best cameras or whatever, but you would see them once every couple of months and they would just come in with weird questions. And so you see the guys that are holding their equipment together basically by gaffer tape, but they're working every weekend and they're getting it done. And you see the guy who bought all the equipment, didn't even know how to use it, that would show up every once in a while. And I remember doing a photography conference and we got to this thing where we were talking about metering. And the teacher, good friend of Gretchen, by the way, was talking to us about, using the center metering or evaluative metering and things like that. And this lady who was bragging to us about doing these really elaborate weddings and she had like the best, camera, like D1. And she's like, oh, what's metering? And we're like, wait, what? You're telling us you charge like 10 grand to do weddings and you have the most expensive Canon, even over some of the Canon ambassadors here, and you didn't know what metering is? I'm like, yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those situations. So there's definitely people out there who buy a bunch of gear and don't really know how to use it.
I mean, I'll admit I don't know how to use exactly everything all the way, but I know what I need it to do.
Yeah.
But like when you get to the point where you have to, like if you're working client work, metering like at a wedding is actually going to be a very helpful thing. So I'm glad.
Well, especially in Hawaii where
that got
all the weddings are basically mixed race. So
Yeah.
you definitely need to get your metering together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
it's super funny.
Okay.
But the need oftentimes is what helps us, right? So what we want to do is like bring back some of the idea of getting so many things, whether it's hardware or software, and putting it into your system and then having that be the clog in your system, right?
Mhm.
Like showing up to put what do you call a plastic plate on a light, the little cover, the vanity cover on a light switch, but bringing
Mhm.
like the entire Milwaukee, 3-stack roller when you need a screwdriver. You need one screwdriver
Yes.
to
You don't
change a
need to
vanity
roll in
plate.
the whole cart.
You don't need to roll in the whole cart, charge the batteries on your electric. And using an electric screwdriver at that particular point will probably break the vanity plate. So you should definitely hand screw that sucker. Things like that, or bringing in your whole toolkit just to hang pictures. And I think people can do that because they watch us and they assume that's what we do. And it's not necessarily the case, right?
Mhm.
To me, this particular setup right now, yes, I have my camera in front and I have my SM7B and it's connected to a Rodecaster, but the SM7B can be connected to a $50 interface. It would do the exact same thing. It doesn't have to be I'm not pressing anything on that Rodecaster right now that makes this show any better. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not adding the special effects. I'm not pressing my swear button. Well, I'll just do it for the heck of it. I'm not doing that, right? And those things are not necessary to do this show. To do this show, literally, it could be done with that Tiny 2 light up there. And honestly, it could be done with the built-in microphone on that Tiny 2 light. It wouldn't
Yeah.
make me as
With
excited, but it could.
Right. And then there's like the difference between like what's going to make it more exciting for you to create, because that is part of helping you get unstuck because you're like, "Ooh, I love this. I want to make this work." Or there's the pieces of gear that you're like, "Oh, this is stopping me from moving forward." So like on the topic of the microphone. So I'm using the Shure MV7. MV7 Plus. It can be USB or it can be XLR for simplicity, because I was like, I just need it to work right away and I don't want as many things plugged in if I don't have to today. It's just plugged in USB to the computer. The Rodecaster's sitting over there, but it's not on. It's not part of this show. It's not part of this project because it's just like one too many things to worry about. I love it. I will play with it. I love making the little noises. I love making the monster voice. But for this project, it is not necessary. But I did have an MB7 one before. The upgrade was a worthwhile upgrade because there was a buzz, and this one specifically fixed a problem that was stopping me from recording because it was making some kind of noise, which was not the microphone's fault. I tried it with like 6 different microphones. It's something in the house, but the MB7 Plus actually fixed that. So you kind of have to figure out when you're upgrading stuff or you're trying new things, is it something that's actually helping the production? Is it something you just want to play with? Or is it something that's just going to cause trouble? And then
Yep.
make your choices. Because just because you have it, you don't have to use every piece of gear every time you shoot. You don't have to.
Well, and at some point, what you need to do is take almost a mental inventory and back it down and like start again, right? I always say this scenario. If you are super, super tired, like I am dead ass tired, but you got to eat and you walk in the house, if there's fresh bread, peanut butter and jelly, I'm going to tell you 75% of the population, especially that first day that bread's soft as hell, 75% of the population, I don't want to hear about you people allergic to peanuts. You guys not part of me. Pull it out and you'll make a PB&J. You got all this stuff in the house you could make, right? You could hit up DoorDash, but there's something gangster about a really good PB&J. And if you feel fancy, butter the bread and fry that joint once you make it. I taught that to the Go group one day. We started in class, and I was like, hold up, y'all. I got to fry my PB&J. And they was like, fry what? And then I think only Wixie was the only one that knew. Yo, you make it just like a grilled cheese. PB&J, slightly butter it, fry it just like a grilled cheese.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Son, let
That
me tell you.
sounds
Let me
delicious.
tell you. So sometimes the most simplest way is better. Like if you are smothering your steak in A1 sauce, you bought junk steak and you don't know how to cook steak. Because steak only needs salt and pepper. Anything else, that means you probably cooked it wrong. Or you just got crappy steak. That's not even opinion, bro. Those are facts amongst actual steak eaters. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes you got to simplify that joint. All right, so let's talk about the software side for a second, because I think the gear side, I saw it in the live studio audience. Both Ernesto and Luis brought up the gimbal. Yeah, my Osmo Pocket, not named Osmo Pocket, is the Osmo Mobile 3, 4, 5, 6, and Insta360 Flow and Firefly Move. I got all of those gimbals. And you know what? I even have a Zhiyun gimbal. I have all of those gimbals. I don't use none of them because it's not necessary, honestly. Like my phone has great stabilization. My Sony cameras have fantastic stabilization, and all of the Insta360s have a phenomenal stabilization. So I have all of them gimbals over there. I gave like a couple to the nephews. Yeah. Boom. Boom.
Right, but then that's specific to your workflow, right? Because Paul's saying he's got the Insta360 Flow Pro and he uses it a lot. So it is very personal. That's where when you're looking at reviews and what other people are saying you have to get or you don't have to get, you got to really look within yourself because it's like a doctor, right? Like
Yeah.
we only know what we know. We know our opinion and how it applies to your life. You got to figure that out yourself.
Yeah, and again, most of the people that bought them don't spend time to learn how to use it properly. And up until recently, they all couldn't handle the bigger size phones. So they say they could, but when you put a bigger size phone on it, they struggle. So if you put a small phone on them, they just fly. They're kind of perfect. But if you use a larger phone, they do tend to struggle. The newer models do have stronger motors. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I find like nowadays, if I compare the built-in stabilization on the iPhone versus the stabilization on the gimbal, most people ain't going to see the difference. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's go into the software side.
With software, right? So software for you, what's like, before whatever the setup you're using now, what was like an early version that you're like, this is too much of software stack? Because like, it might be different for you because you actually enjoy testing out software.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see if there is something that you're
I don't
like,
really
this
get to the
was just
level
too many
of,
things.
I don't get to the level of this is too much because I don't allow that old word in my vocabulary. So I know it sounds crazy, but if you have that word in your vocabulary, you will come up with this is too much because you feel that there is a limitation. See, I don't have limitations. I just don't allow myself to have them.
To go back to the meat thing then, when you get the steak and it's right, you don't need the sauce.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So for you, if we put sauce on it, that's too much. It's not that you are overwhelmed with the sauce. It's just like, that's just too many things.
No, it's not that it's too much, but it's that people hide crappy steak with sauce. Right? If you got, first of all, I only eat ribeye. I can't stand New York strips. I don't like porterhouse. I don't like London broth. I don't like any of them cheap cuts. They just don't taste good. But I think that was the child abuse of my mom's rubber ass steaks when I was a kid. That when I got old enough to buy my own steaks and cook my own steaks, and I discovered what a ribeye was. I know why mom didn't get those because we were broker. But once you have a ribeye, or some people call Spencer, some people call Delmonico, all part of the same, it's hard to want to eat the lean steaks. And like all the fancy people that like Fig Lick McNanny's, no, can't even stand them. They're too dry. They're too lean. Like I like fat in my steak, right? Also, I'm on A5 Wagyu. You do not put sauce on Wagyu. That joint just melts in your mouth like butter. Like it's a different.
Yeah.
Most Americans who've never had real Wagyu, they do not understand there is a complete difference between what you think steak is and what that Kobe or Matsutake Gyu or Ita-gyu or Hita-gyu. When you have a real deal Wagyu, you'd be like, all right, I get it. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Because that was me.
And
like when I first had one, when I first had my first $500 steak, I was like, I get it now. I know why people do this dumb. This is crazy, but people look at it like it's expensive. Those same people have also, did like a whole mirror full of like 80s. So yeah, it's worth it. Anyway.
So then like on the note of the software then, like in that kind of sense, not that like it's become overwhelming, but it's like if you got the good stuff, then you don't need all the little extra bits.
That's the answer.
Right? That's the difference. Is there's like you can get the really good stuff and not need a lot of things, or you're just trying to cover up a bad thing, but maybe you don't realize where, like, maybe you had the steak and the steak, and you have the one that doesn't taste good and the one that does taste good, but you don't know what the difference is. So you just put sauce on them.
Yes.
But this one didn't need sauce.
Correct.
And this one does. So now you need 2 items versus 1.
Correct.
So when you think about the software, that's kind of what I'm asking with the software.
So that comes into play a lot. And this is one of the things where people, I don't know why the adverse reaction in just about anything is, we'll get this one because it's cheaper. And I'm like, but that's going to actually cost you more in the long run. So this just came up in the Facebook group. Dude popped in and said, I don't want to spend 300 pounds on software. I think they're specifically meaning Final Cut Pro because it's $299 else. And they were like, so between the script, scenery, CapCut, like, what should I use to edit? Because right now I don't want to spend that money. And I was like, scenery, right? Because it's, for me, has been the winner. And then he said, well, I tried it because I saw your video, but then I tried to upload a big file and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, bruh, if you're going to send a big file, online editor is not your answer. And technically, CapCut is an online editor too. And technically, Descript is an online editor too. So none of the above is going to solve you. If you're trying to send it like, a super large file, number one, check your recording because you're probably doing something you don't need to do out of just, pure craziness. But number two, that's not going to work. So you have if you want to send it huge files, you need to spend the $300 to buy an online editor. There is no shortcut. I mean, an offline editor, not offline, a computer-based editor. Let's put it that way, Premiere or Final Cut. And I say you can use DaVinci, but it's going to cost you $2,000 in hours to learn how to use DaVinci. Right?
Yeah.
So
like
all of the people that are saving money with the free, DaVinci's free. And I'm like, how much time did you spend learning it? Oh, it probably took me like 20, 30 hours. And I was like, so it ain't free, homie, because you're discounting the $50 an hour for you to sit there and learn that mess. I charge $150 an hour, $200 an hour if you're a pain in my butt. So if I spent 2 hours learning DaVinci, I could have bought Final Cut, which is understandable. It's easily understandable.
Mm-hmm. And with the online editors versus like one that's on your computer, like, what are you trying to edit? Right? That's like when you're like, what's the easiest, cheapest editor you can do? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to make a movie? Then like, yeah, Everything Everywhere All the Time, they made that on Premiere Pro. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so you don't necessarily need like the high-end studio editors. I don't even know what they're using now. I feel like they're using Premiere and stuff like that. But for smaller things, like I do really like scenery, and it is taking some time to learn it because things are in different places. But once you've played with enough editors, you know what you got to look for.
Correct.
As far as different things. And scenery has this new thing where you can do the clips in there. So I've been working on the clips, the shorter, like short form repurpose stuff of Creators Unstuck. So so the recording, the way we set this up is I call into Doc's Zoom room. Doc is recording this locally. He edits the long form, gets it uploaded to YouTube. In Scenery, I take the link from the long form one that's already uploaded on YouTube. I bring it into Scenery. Scenery brings it into its editor, its file management. And then I'm like, make me clips. And then it makes the clips. Now, there's other programs that kind of do that as well. But I always got stuck on the fact that like, okay, cool, you made me this clip, but now I need to make adjustments because it's like a little off, or I can make it shorter. I can move things.
That is the sauce.
This one brings it into the editor. And now I can still do my thing, right? Because it's like, I always got stuck on the other ones where I'm like, but it just looks like everybody else's. I can tell who used what program. And bless, they're really great if you just need to turn stuff around. Like it's still a good option out there. But this one is the only one where I was like, immediately I can just be like, I like that one. Now I'm going to change it and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix the text. I'm going to fix it, like reformats between, like, I was really impressed with this. Like, so, we record this in wide. So I'm on one side, Doc's on the other side. When it cuts it into vertical, it just like,
it's so good.
It just does it.
It's so good.
It just does it.
It's funny that you say that because when I was talking to the CEO and Liza yesterday, Michael, I was explaining to them their secret sauce, which is going to make them crush the competition, is the fact that they're an editor first. Everybody else is the automatic cutter first. So when you want to make adjustments, the adjustment capability is there, and it's full featured adjustments because it is an actual editor first. And so it is quite saucy. It is very, very quite saucy. I was very, very impressed. But anyway, so going back to this, I think for some people, right, say you watch a Thomas Frank. So now you feel you have to build out this incredible Notion workflow, right? If you watch a cat even, you want to build out this incredible Notion workflow. If we had to be honest with ourselves and give ourselves a grade on our Notion skills, we're like a C plus, right? Yeah. Cat is over there, magna cum laude. You know, she walk around school like she cool.
Valedictorian.
Like, valedictorian, right? Like Cat is the bomb, right? So I think people can look at her Notion pages and then feel some type of way. And I know this because even when people come in, sometimes they're just doing a regular scene, right? And then let me switch real quick. They come over here and you see this studio set up. Trash is right there. Should have moved that. And this studio set up. They're like, oh my God, I can't make a video because my studio doesn't look like that. Yo, we didn't do that today. Like, this is legit 6 years worth of work. You know what I'm saying? And I think that freaks people out. So oftentimes where your inadequacies in your software stack comes from is you watch somebody else do something really, really incredible with software on screen, and then you dive in and you feel like you need to learn all of that. And people do not extrapolate, how can I make this work in my flow to do it the way that will work for me? Right? They immediately jump in and start feeling some type of way and then go around professing all of their anger. But I was like, your studio don't gotta look like mine. I have people who just say, oh, I don't want to use Ecamm because I don't want a dark background. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? But they saw me doing the video. This has come up in the live demo, which you did yesterday swimmingly. But this has come up in the live video because they see me, and then maybe, you know, they see a couple weeks in a row and they're like, oh, I really want to use Ecamm, but I don't want a dark background. And I'm like, well, then turn on the lights, homie. Like, I just don't, I'm a vampire. I don't like light. What the hell? But they really couldn't extrapolate that that's a different thing.
Right, because it's not Ecamm that's making your set look like that, right? Ecamm doesn't make this is like physical. We had to actually do these things. Ecamm is just the process. So for me, when I was early trying to film and record straight to my computer, so before I was doing SD card into the camera, set up all the lights, film my thing, break it all down, SD card into the computer, edit. And it just was, for me, too many pieces for me getting from producing to releasing. So I just was like, how can I shorten this scenario? Okay, great. How can I get the computer to record straight, the camera to record straight into the computer? I was using at the time, like this was way before I knew about Ecamm. I was using the Canon image capture. It was whatever their program.
Oh, the webcam utility.
The camera.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was using the webcam utility for the Canon into the computer. The microphone was into the camera, but like it was far away. And then if I was trying to live stream, when I tried to at that point, I was going from that one into OBS because I don't think OBS recognized it straight out at that point. And then it was like, then that into YouTube. And is again, still too many steps between me and success. So how can I shrink that down? Now, camera into Ecamm, the camera, Ecamm sees it right away because we've got so many like advancements now. And then Ecamm straight into YouTube. So now it's 1, 2, 3. And at the same time, it's recording. So this camera has not seen an SD card since I've owned it.
Bruh, Savior.
This one, she does not know an SD card.
Like SD card, like, yo, you try to put it in there, she'd be mad. No, get away from me. So yeah, my camera's the same way. I haven't dropped the SD in it. But I think you're right. I think that's the best way to look at this. Definitely, like, look at your process and be like, what can I take out and still make this dope? Especially if you're finding yourself with the struggle to produce. because you feel like you have too many things. Maybe you don't even realize you have too many things, but okay, let's put it back this way. When I used to do this in the living room, to record a video required setting up the backdrop. That's 2 poles, crossbar, black drape or green drape. And then if it was a black drape, it was 1 light. If it was the green drape, it was 5 lights because you got to properly light your green screen. And then get everything all together, mics together, turn off the AC because the AC would warble the green, which would totally mess up the key. And then it just took too long. So the fix for that was to get a dedicated space. And so putting a studio in my office down the stairs, and then having it where you could just come in, plop your butt in the seat and go. That was the gem. That was the absolute gem. So if you have to set up and strike your setup every time and you have a complicated setup, oh, it's a pain in the butt. Every Sunday, myself, my boy Topher, and we would come in, set up mixers, lights, cameras, the whole 9 yards. Every once in a while, my dad would want to come in and make us do it the broadcast way. And I'm like, Pops, we're recording this for YouTube. And he's like, no, you need a joker bug. We're talking 1,000-watt light that could cook chicken, right? So now me and my co-host, we sitting over there, we're sweating bullets. We ain't even start yet. You know what I'm saying? So it is definitely a situation where if you can simplify some things and bring it down, including software, because what I definitely want to bring to the table, I write so much of it in my field notes first, right? I have thousands of these. I should have a subscription, right? I got a brand new one right here, ready to bless, because this one is almost dead, right? But I write everything down in here first, bullet points, the whole 9 yards. And then after the bullet points, that gets transferred into the iPad or the computer, right? Even better now, I can take a photo with this and have it put most of it there. I have to fix my handwriting. Yours are probably dope, but not me. But I can take a photo of this now and it does a really good job of getting it there. And what's cool is we were talking about GoodNotes, which you put me back onto. I used to use back in the day. I stopped using it, but then I went back to it. I love GoodNotes. Absolutely incredible. Notability, absolutely incredible. You know what's really incredible? Apple freaking Notes. All you people who like, I don't want to learn Notion, cool, use Apple Notes. It does almost the same thing. Not quite, but it's just enough, right? If Notion was a BMW 5 Series, Apple Notes is a very clean Camry. It will still get you to the grocery store. It just don't got the massage seats and the, 17 speaker blah punk stereo. Wait, I think blah punk is a thing anymore, but you know what it is. So yeah, sometimes you have to get your system, your software system back to pen and paper. And I missed analog. So I went and bought a whole bunch of new notebooks and pens just to go do more analog. Because analog, your brain just keeps more. When I do analog, my brain keeps more.
Yes, I agree. There's less I have to write down again later if I've untangled it. So, and that's where I kind of think of like with the pen and paper, that's taking the thoughts and untangling them out of my brain. And then once it's like, I've got all of the noodles out and they're on the plate and I'm like, okay, here. Oh, this, I see what's going on. Then I can go implement it in whatever like digital form that I need to do that in. But it's taking it back down to the basics for you is a good way to start, because what will happen to me sometimes if I take things down to basic, like I will say with the Osmo Pocket 3, it's a camera and a microphone. That's it, right? There's nothing else plugged in. It's a camera and a microphone. And I was like, it can't be this easy. Like that's, I was just like, I shocked myself because we're so used to go more and more and more. And like that thing, I don't even have to turn on a light. It just opened the window. It does really well in low light. It's just ridiculous. Like that. I was like, oh, it's so simple and beautiful and a different experience, because sometimes I do want to do the most because it's fun for me. But sometimes you just need it to be done. You just need to get it done.
Yeah, that was the same experience with the Shure Motive mic too, right? The fact that it just talks straight to the phone. I don't need to plug anything in, and it just works, and the sound is glorious. I think sometimes, you know, when you think about like, I have so many phone rigs. This time when the 16 comes out, I'm gonna do everything in my power not to buy a phone rig. Because you guys all see me at camp with my rig all rigged up. It takes a couple minutes to get that joint set up. You know what? Now you can just take your Osmo Mic 2, the DJI Mic 2, or the Shure mic, Bluetooth straight to the phone, stick it to your shirt. Let's go. Like, it doesn't need all of the rig, whatever. Nowadays, phones don't even need a light. You just need to go. Just make it happen.
Just make it happen. Well, but let's talk about some of our little sponsors who are helping us make it happen for creators unstuck. We talked about scenery a little bit. If you guys haven't tried that yet, please give it a try. And if you're like into trying new developing technology, the group is very, very great. Like, you can get in onto their like Slack message boards and like be part of the development process, which I think is really amazing to be able to get. Like, I've never talked to anybody at Adobe. They don't care about my opinion, you know, but like I hit something. Well, you have, but like you're at a different level than I am, right? Like you like a different. And with scenery though, it's like they are really wanting to listen to the creators and be like, what is it that you want? How can we be the best tool for you? So loving that. We got PodPack, who is working on our graphics. Like, if you've got a podcast that's coming up, then you need to get your images, your graphics, all of that branding correct. Go there. Just get it done. Whatever the price is, it's worth it, because it's, if you use
the code unstuck, you get $500 off.
And that's so worth it. You're welcome. And also thank you, PodPack. And then of course we got our dog pops, which we all should be getting soon.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They're on their way.
Went out. The order went out, and now manufacturing process will probably start on Monday. And then depending on them and what other orders are in the way, I figure manufacturing should take 4 to 6 weeks, and then they'll start shipping, and they'll ship directly to you. So once it leaves the factory, on average, most people will get it within 7 to 10 days, depending on where you are.
Exciting.
So
this one,
stoked.
We're matching now. We've got our pink ones, and then I ordered all the other colors, and I can't wait to start matching it.
My phone just went ping, 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 and Rich just ordered some more too. And then so did William. What's up, William? Good to see you in the chat. So thank you, Rich. Thank you, William. Everybody, thank you who popped up some pops. Yeah, super excited. I can't wait. Yes, I am drop shipping directly from there, Rich. So that was a challenge, but my team is square. They know that it's going to save me the most amount of hassle, and they're good. So I will be hitting up a lot of people to get their phone numbers, though, because we need phone numbers for international shipping. So I will be bugging you. So look out for an email from me. All right. So our sponsors are dope. And
yes,
I am checking out this new thing. Right. Oh, we should announce the segment. Wait, you got to do it so I can do I can do the bumper.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Now, before we get into the final part of getting unstuck in your workflow, Doc, I got to know, what's your pick of the week?
Pick of the week. That's so stupid. My pick of the week is this really incredible app from 11 Labs, and it's called 11 Labs Reader. It is super fantastic. So it can basically take anything on your phone and it will read it to you in the fantastic 11 Labs voice. So if I was to click on here, I was looking for
your identified songs in Apple Music. When you subscribe to Apple Music, you can listen to your identified songs in the Music app. You can also automatically add your songs to a...
Now, this is cool because she can read anything on your phone, and then it can, you got different voices, so you can change the voice if you wish, if you don't want to use that standard voice. They have famous voices, so you could have it read to you by Morgan Freeman, because it's 11 Labs, of course. But let me see if I can switch the voice on this real quick. So if I go to my voices, it's like a Deepak Chopra.
When you align your thoughts with love, compassion, and gratitude,
That is so good. Burt Reynolds, Julie Garland, like there's a bunch in there. I'm gonna leave it on Deepak Chopra for a second. And I wonder if I can make him read out our thing. Come on. Well, I think it has to render the voice for it.
Check out this trailer
no,
for
it's
the
the same
brand new
one.
podcast called Creators. It's hosted by Doc Rock and Mary Lou, and they're here to help creators boost their content reach.
So good. But you can basically read anything in your phone. So if instead of listening to a podcast, you can string together a couple of articles that you want to check out that day. And then, wait, I shouldn't say instead of listening to podcasts, because you should listen to this podcast. Anyway, if you
But
find
in addition to,
you find yourself in a position with some time and you want to read an article, but maybe your hands can't actually sit there and hold your phone the whole time. Yeah, just pop up 11 Last Reader. Now, you already know how expensive this is? It's free 95. Again, it is free 95. So just go download the app and check it out. Put it in your phone. It can basically read anything on your phone. It is so good. It is so much fun to play with. And it's just fun to just like start an article, put it down, and then make my peanut butter and jelly sandwich while I'm sitting here reading me the article. Boom. So you can stay up to date and not have to read too much.
That's cool. I like that. I gotta download that app. I've been really into the Tavo alarm. This is like super niche for our smart tech folks, but it's a new kind of like alarm clock. So this is the holder. The actual alarm is this little nugget, right? And so it's got one button, it's got one charge port, and then it connects to an app. And what it does is you wear it, and when you set whatever time you set your alarm for, it just vibrates. It doesn't make any noise. So I've been getting up silly early to go to the gym, and I've been loving it because I've been getting so much done. Will's not trying to get up that early. And it's like before the sun is out. So it's nice that I can have this wake me up, and it's just like, and I'm like, okay. And then I can get up without having to have like, wake up. I just disturbed Gizmo. She's like, excuse me, ma'am. This is a Wendy's. So this thing is like, it's just been my favorite. And it's one of these items that I got to test. So they sent this to me to test, and I was like, I don't know, like it's very niche, and like who's gonna want to get this? And now I use it every single day. So that's the thing with like smart tech, right? Because sometimes it's like, oh, is this really necessary? Like we got alarm clocks. I got things that can wake me up. But the thing I'd been using for years to wake me up is my phone. If my phone ends up in the bed with me, I'm not sleeping for another 4 hours. So I set this alarm, the phone stays away, and then I come to bed. And then I can like if I bring my iPad into the bedroom, it's not a problem. I'll read a little bit and I'll go to sleep. But the phone, there's just something about the shape of it and being able to just lay here.
Yes.
Like
the
this.
tactile nature of the phone. Yes.
Yeah. So this Tavo Sleep is like if you are looking for an alarm that's not connected to your phone, that doesn't make noise. I haven't really found anything else that is like that. And it does something like with the motion. I don't know how it does it. Something with like your deep sleep and your light sleep where it has a window. So if I set it to wake me up by 5:15, the alarm might go off at 4:55 if that's when I'm in the lightest sleep of the sleep cycle. So it's even gentle too. So it's not like trying to wake you up when you're in the deepest sleep. I don't know. It's been great.
I like it.
It's
that
rocked
sounds
my
cool.
world.
That sounds cool. I'm really impressed by some of the smart tech that's come in to do with health and things like that. So I for some reason last week my blood pressure just was acting goofy. So I went to go see my doctor, and then she was like, well, are you checking it at home? And I'm like, well, why, yes, I am. And then she's like, so what are you averaging at home? And so I bust out my health app and I go, and I showed her, and she's like, oh, you have all the recordings from all these the last couple of months? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, this is perfect. So she did some tweak to my medicine. And then she's like, then in 2 weeks, send me a output from the next 2 weeks and see how it's going. And so after she made some tweaks to my medicine, it started coming back down again. But it's just the fact that because of smart tech, we could actually have better conversations with our doctors, And I was like,
Yes.
they're going to get my information. Me knowing your blood pressure is not going to allow me to do anything. Like, what are you talking about? Get out of here.
Does what are you using to track the blood pressure?
The built-in Apple app.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to type it in?
I used to type in. I was using a Withings blood pressure reader, but I found out that the Omarion, I always read it as Omarion.
Omarion.
You got what I need. You say that's the friend. Anyway, I find that it's not, the Withings one isn't as accurate as the standard issue $40 Costco Omarion. So I'll just type it in. But it's actually super quick to type it in. I probably could set up a shortcut to either read the photo if I took a picture of it, or where I could just say it to Siri and she would put it in the right spot, because there's only two cells. You need the systolic and the diastolic. So it'd be a super easy shortcut to make. I just haven't made it.
Yeah. Smart tech is like smart wellness tech has just really been great, because I did the same thing with my doctor recently. I was like, I can tell, and this is like, we were talking about the Aura Ring. I mentioned this on my live stream where I was like, on my Aura Ring, I can tell who stresses me out and who doesn't.
Yep.
Like, I can tell. I could be like, no, I don't need to spend more time with this person.
Yep.
Because it's going to let me know, like, oh, this was not good for you. But then also the difference between nervous and excited, that's a whole other conversation. Because like your heart rate going up maybe isn't nerves, maybe isn't stress. It could be excitement, could be different.
That's a good conversation. And I think we should have a conversation with folks around the self-awareness of the difference between nervous, anxious, excited, and aroused. They're the same physiologically, but they're completely different as far as your brain and the chemicals that are emitted. But some of the activating chemicals are the same. And so I think people often misconstrue anxiety and nervousness, and they're not the same. They're totally different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They emote the same, but they're different. And controlling one is more mental, and the other one is actual biochemical. So there's that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We won't get into nerd stuff right now.
Not different kind of nerd stuff. We were talking about the workflow, getting stuck in your workflow as far as content creating with gear, with software, with your health, right? That's like a whole other thing. What are the things that are stopping you? And sometimes it is just the workflow, the actual flow that's stopping you, because you see what we do. And you're like, great, I need to do 100 different steps. But it's like, maybe you don't.
No, you don't.
Maybe you don't. Maybe it's much simpler than that.
Well, and also because, June, my brother who's in the chat, or maybe he went back to minding his own damn business. He always tells people, what are you trying to get to though? So people will always come in with these glorious things. And he's like, but what do you actually want to get to? What is the outcome? And if you don't know what the outcome is, that half the time can be your battle, which is why way back in like episode 1 and 2, we're like, figure out your why, figure out your purpose. Like what exactly, who are you doing this for? What does it need to look like at the end? If you're trying to recreate the Oprah Winfrey Show, oh, you got some work ahead of you. But if you're trying to deliver the same type of message, but you're really comfortable with it looking like you're at your dining room table, you got way less work. The impact on the audience, exactly the same. But your ego would tell you, I need to look like oatmeal. Because, if I don't look, they're not going to. No. Some of the most sage advice you get comes from little kids, somebody, at the supermarket. Like, it doesn't have to be some highfalutin, what's that dude named that walk on the coals? Tony Robbins, like looking coach. Sometimes your best life advice just comes from a simple something. Oh, wait, I have to take this. This is super funny. We were talking about word art and how much we hate it, but I saw a funny one the other day. It was in neon, and it's at the restaurant across the street. They just opened up. It's called Mamacita's, and it says, if you don't like tacos, I'm not your type. And I was like, that's funny. That's super funny.
Those are more facts, right?
If you don't like tacos, I'm not your type. That's hilarious. Even I still hate word art, but that one was good. I'm going to let that one slide. So, yes, in the process of watching all of us and watching people that you think you want to aspire to be or whatever, you start trying to learn how to do all of this. And a lot of times the learning the workflow, learning the implementation, learning the gear, all these things is actually throwing you off. Okay. So at one point in the photography, videography space, or even I use DJs because it's easier conversation. A lot of the OG DJs was like, oh, they're using a computer. They don't know how to spin records. And then the new comment was, oh, they're using the sync button, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why have a tool that makes your job easier and not use it? Using the sync button doesn't make you less of a DJ. Not paying attention to the audience on the dance floor and trying to show off your technical skills, your scratching, your super fast mixing, and you've been to the party, DJ plays your cut, and he plays 8 bars of it, 16 bars of it, on to the next song. It's all right, this next song is dope. Short, next song, next song. He's not playing for the crowd. He's showing off to the other DJ how fast he can transition, right? Or you get to the part of the song where the break drops, right? You can snatch that from that Sancho, pop him dead in his. It's like, no, dude, we wanted to sing the I'll pump Sancho in his face, right? Practice Santeria. And I'm like, now the DJ is scratching the part that everybody's supposed to sing because he's showing off to the other people who can see the DJ. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're not playing for the audience. If you're playing for the audience, you let that part of the bridge ride because that's the part that everybody sings. Like if you started singing that in the subway, people would follow you up. And you would run into that where they're showing off. And, in the photography space, it'd be all the guys, oh, you got to put it on manual. Don't use, if you're not using manual, then you're not a real photographer, like autofocus. I'm like, shut up, bro. Nowadays, computer metering and stuff in the phone, and the cameras are so good, it can probably outdo most of the guys who say they can do manual. Most of the modern cameras can outdo you. So that's those situations where people will get stuck trying to learn something complicated because they're listening to a gatekeeper telling them that they need to know how to do things that you probably don't need to do.
All right, well, then let's talk about some practical tips that we can give people. Okay, you ready for this, Doc?
Yes.
Give us the explanation of how you can tell if something is a toy or it's a tool.
If you can this is something that my dad used to put on my brother and I. If you could figure out how to pay for that tool in 90 days or less with actual work, with actual paying customers, you can get it. If not, it's probably a toy.
Okay. See that, and then like when you're making your workflow and you're getting different pieces for the workflow, you can acknowledge if something's just fun for you, like you just want it because you think that would be fun. And then it may actually turn out to be well. The Osmo Pocket 3 I got after a lot of research because I got to a point where I was like, I need to get another camera so I don't pull out any of the cameras here because this workflow right now is like, it's exactly what I need. I sit down, everything's plugged in. I don't want to go look for the camera because I left it somewhere else. And I'm like, where did I put it? Did I not charge it? Did I not plug it in? So that was a specific choice. Now, when I got the Insta360 X4 is a 360 camera, that's not part of this workflow. Like that is for fun. And I know that that's for fun. And can I get work out of it? Can I make work happen with it? Like, yes, because we talk about cameras, but that one I knew was a toy. So you can get your toys, just know. So what is something that people can keep in mind that they're at the breaking point when they should figure out an alternative? So there's like going through your workflow, using what you can, but how can you tell when you're at the breaking point, you're like, this isn't going to work. I need to upgrade something.
Okay.
First or change something.
I'm having a hard time focusing because Minnie mentioned dance hall, and now I got like Buju Banton popping in my head. I'm over here, and then I'm doing pliers. Like dang it! Now she got my head going. Anyway, so one of the ways that you can tell is if you find the length of time that you think, okay, let's say I'm going to cut this podcast in less than an hour, right? I can cut every episode of Creators Unstuck in less than an hour. But I have definitely sat down where I'm like, I'm 2 hours into this. It's not supposed to be taking this long. Why? Because I'm trying to add things that are cute and not really necessary. So like, if you watch the video versions, you'll see the little Easter eggs that I put in, the little weird things that I put in here and there that kind of hidden. Like I'll pop up. So it's only a second, but I got to go find that picture, cut it out in Photoshop, bring it in, apply keyframes. And it's like, bro, not necessary, because the people that are listening. And honestly, people listen to this on the TV while they're doing something else, right? When you're doing Mad Sciences yesterday, you're on in the living room, but I was in the kitchen making stir fry. I was Migos in the kitchen making stir fry. Anyway, but Lou was on the TV while I'm doing, what I'm doing. I'm over there chopping onions and, bean sprouts and whatever. So it was cool and it's funny if you catch it, but like, I really didn't have to do that. That's just the weirdness in me, but that ends up making it take longer to edit. And in theory, I could have cut episode 6 and 7 in the time it took me to do 6 because I was putting crazy stuff in there because I was just in my mood. But I'm aware of it. A lot of people don't get aware of it and they're spending time doing a bunch of different things, which is why I use Auphonic. If I go to edit sound myself, I will tweak out. My teachings of my father will get in my head and I will sit there and tweak out on every flying frequency. I'm sliding the EQ back and forth, finding that little extra S that Mary Lou put in today, and I'm just like, oh God, that frequencies, man, never mind on damn frequencies. Half of y'all can't even hear that. Most of our audience is over 50. They can't hear that mess. So I just use Auphonic because it takes me literally 10 minutes to do what used to take me 2 hours because I was a tweaker.
Yeah. And that I get like that with my editing as well, because I enjoy editing. So if I'm in the mood, I'm going to go hard. We're going to add music. We're going to add sound effects. We're going to make graphics because that's my bag. But you don't need to do that. Some people are like that in the kitchen, right? Like maybe I just need to make some rice in a rice cooker and heat up the frozen orange chicken from Trader Joe's, right? That's it.
I would definitely garnish a plate. I'm like, I'm at home. You don't need to garnish the plate. I ain't the restaurant, but I'll be over there like with the little florets. Like, you don't need to do all of that noise.
Because that's your bag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's your bag. And I think about, like we were talking about steak earlier with sushi. I choose, like I used to work in sushi bars, right? Strip mall sushi bars, nice sushi bars. So like I know when it's like a whatever sushi or when it's good sushi, it's like how much stuff they put on top of it. Like, does it got spicy mayo on it or is it just a piece of fish?
Correct.
Right? So because I've spent so much time in it, like if I'm going to get sushi, I'm just going to wait. I'll like rather like not do 3 times at the strip mall sushi to do 1 time at the nice sushi. So that's where choosing what is your bag, right? Like if you're like, fine, I'll just get a okay camera for now, but like it's fine because you'll still get a thing delivered. It's still food, right? You still eat the sushi, you still feel full. Fine, it's great, right? It's fun. This is fun for different reasons. But if you get to the point where your taste is a little bit higher, which I think is like where we are, we're like, I can hear it, right? Like now that I've worked on audio all year, thank you to you, Doc, for helping be my Yoda, my audio Yoda. I can hear certain things. And that's where like the buzzing on my old microphone, I was like, this isn't going to cut it.
It's not working.
Has to change. Where like I was playing it and people at home, like they're watching the live stream. They're like, oh, we don't really hear anything unless I turned it all the way up. But I'm like, but it's there, you guys. It's there. It's making me crazy. So that's where I think about like the difference between an ego setup versus an effective setup. So Doc, what for you would be an ego process or setup for shooting a podcast versus an effective setup or process for a podcast?
This is definitely harder for the females in our squad, but I do it myself, so I know it's not just a female thing. There's oftentimes when I have a phenomenal idea or conversation or something that I want to say, and I'm like, I should just run down and record that real quick. First of all, I don't even have to run down. I can record it in the house, but I just don't. Like, I always want to come to my safe space and do it. I think for me, that's the equivalent of I can't do this because I don't have my makeup on yet. Right? Whereas Lou, the gangster that she is, Lou will be there. Hey, y'all, listen, I want to tell y'all about this new microphone. I'm like, you're going to stab yourself in the eye, girl. What the hell are you doing? And then she got the little blender and she's like, so y'all just need to stop bullshitting and give up in here and get the little content and then spritz. And then she just doing the whole thing while she talking to y'all. But I still struggle with letting that go and just calming down, right? So I posted early August when the idea hit me and I happened to be outside to just turn the damn camera on and just record it outside. Like, you don't have to wait till I get back. Because what happens, I wait till I get back and I sit here and I got my little Paul Duncan Q mug backwards. Get my little taste in.
Oh, that's
right,
so cute.
Let's go. Then the 50 plus kick in. No, it wasn't that. What was it again? And then I was like, it'll come to me. Let me check this email. Never happened. Because now that email got you down the train. Or Luis will send me some stupid meme in my phone and then I'm gone. Like, it's just completely out the window. You know, Cosimo comes in, Uncle, let me let you listen to this new track. And now that video never gets made. And I totally won't even think about it for months. And then sometimes when it comes back, I'm like, it's not timely anymore. So it's learning to just do it ugly. It is completely acceptable. Even for a person who doesn't take themselves seriously like me, like I don't take myself seriously at all. I don't think everything needs to look like hyper professional. It's still sometimes hard to just do it. So flip the question. What gives you the gumption to just have your blender in hand and be like, I got to tell these folks about this, and you just be all up in here?
Well, that
it's called a blender, right? I don't know if that's the right word,
it's
but
a beauty
it's that
blender.
sponge,
Yeah, I know
that little sponge thing.
Whoop, this one here. For you to like blend out your.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The little egg.
stuff.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. So like,
mine says Rose.
I will do that. Yes, it is. That's from the Interview Pro. I noticed that. So that came from when I realized early on in hosting, when I made the switch from hosting being, I'm a host, I'm a TV host, everyone look at me, to no, you're a party host. And when you're hosting a party, it's about everyone else. So the way that I look, and if I look like people know what I look like without makeup, with a full beat, with like just woke up or have been shooting
beard?
on stage, full beat.
Oh, like with a full beard. I was like,
my beauty pageant makeup, right? Like, but like that stuff, that's what gives me the gumption of like, well, then, because it's not about how I look, it's about the people. And I was like, okay, if I don't get this out, it can't help anyone. Then I'm just being selfish. Then I'm just holding on to things in general. So that's, the practical tip for that is when you think about with your content, if you're holding it in because you need the light, the camera, the this, the that, if it's for you, then you're just being selfish. If the story is like better told, like there's some things that I'm like, I have to do it here because I need to be able to show.
Because you need the prop. Yeah,
something.
you need the facilities. Yeah.
Right. Then it's like that is serving the audience. That makes it a better thing for the audience because I can actually do the visual support. I can do the demonstration. That actually makes it helpful. So that's what makes a difference, And then I also like if I don't get it out, then it's gone. I just kind of have accepted that about myself. But I also know
and that actually blocks the rest of your flow. I find sometimes when I don't get something out, that my flow is blocked because it's there quietly just getting in the way, right? If you think of a pond, or not a pond, a stream. The stream is going this way, and then there'll be a rock right here. And everywhere there's a rock, there's a little turbulence in the front of it, a little turbulence in the back of it, because the flow has to go around of it. So the next time you can see an actual pond, you'll see what I'm talking about. And that rock is actually causing a disturbance in the flow. So What that rock is a unput out video, a undone task. The biggest ones, a broken promise, especially if it's a broken promise to yourself, right?
Mhm.
And then so whenever you have a situation that requires you to break a promise, it literally does put a massive disturbance in your flow, and your whole flow doesn't vibrate. Do you know, and I hate the word, so I don't really use it, but do you know the number one cause of stress?
Is your own damn self?
Broken promises.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go meet Mary Lou and Paul. Mary Lou and Paul says, you need to be at the coffee shop at 9. I get up, I start doing stuff in the house or whatever, and then I leave the house at 8:45, but it's a 30-minute drive. Now I'm in traffic, trying to cut it up, stuck on the 110, yelling at somebody. My heart is racing. I'm mad engaged. And why? Because I'm going to piss off my friends by being 20 minutes late to this thing. If you don't have those feelings when you're late, you're selfish. Right? If you say you're going to get all of this work did and you don't get it did, and it's Friday at 2 p.m., but you're going to take the kids to see Deadpool after. Don't take your kids to see Deadpool. But you all of a sudden got like all of this work to do in that last couple of hours, and now you're in panic mode. You're stressed, right? You bought all of this software or this hardware to make these videos, and then you don't know how to use it. And every time you sit down, you feel apprehensive and you get the O word because there's too many buttons or whatever, and you don't know what you're doing. You're stressed, a broken promise, because you promised yourself that you was going to spend this $300 to buy this particular thing, and this thing was going to make your thing dope, but then you haven't spent the time to learn how to use it. And now every time you sit down, you feel some type of way. You're stressed. The number one cause of stress is broken promises, especially the broken promises to yourself. That's it. Period, point blank, end the story. So
Yeah, I can feel that.
That's how your workflow can get you jacked up, because now you can't think because there's something in your way. Now, I wouldn't say that Paul was stressed, but it definitely made him like have to skip a few beats when he fires up his system. And then he popped into the Zoom. Hey, I've been telling you got what? No, Paul, it's broken again. He's like, damn it. So he got to reboot, leave the Zoom, come back. All right, what about now? Now you sound like Paul, right? But because it's happened a couple times in a row, he's now looking at the system like, yo, I got to take this all the way apart to suss out why this keeps happening. And that's got to feel a type of way. You know what I'm saying? So definitely. I know like when I get a blackout, if I don't put my camera back on manual focus, it's in autofocus. And because of the lights, my autofocus does this. And every time I forget to go back and switch it back to manual, it drives me crazy. Because for like the next 2 weeks until I climb back behind the counter, it's just going nuts because of the lights in the back. So yeah, all of those are things that cause people stress.
Yeah, that was like me with the computer. Like that, like my computer upgrade was like the saga of the year. And broken promises to myself and to the audience, because like my computer couldn't handle the concepts that I wanted to do. Like I like make stuff. Like if you've ever hung around me, like Doc knows, like if I got the means, I'm going to make something. I'm like that kind of creator, but this computer was legitimately slowing me down. So it's like, I tried until it couldn't anymore, and then got the new computer. And now I got that. I was like, well, I can't just not make things. I can't just be outputting at the level I was before. And now I'm just like, every day, here's some new stuff all the time, because that's the promise of this computer. But then another thing that can hold you back, and maybe this is something I'm personally reflecting on, the stoppage in my workflow and my processes is too many platforms. Because to be a creator, I don't need truly to be on Instagram, to be on TikTok, to be on Pinterest, to be on Snapchat, to be on X, to be on Facebook, to be on YouTube, to be all the places. But what if I just chose one that was the main focus, and get really, really, really good at that. So that's where I'm at right now. It's like, because when we had the challenge in our creator camp groups of thinking about like what causes you struggles and stuff, I'm like, it's too many ideas. I don't ever feel like I run out of ideas. I'm just like, there's too many and I can't execute everything all at once. So to fix my blockage, which is really a this problem, is to make it a this situation. So I'm not just going everywhere at once, right? So like we're talking about this stream. If the stream just like doesn't have sides, we just have a puddle essentially. Like the water's just going everywhere. Then it's like, what is this? This is not even useful. Like everything's muddy. Everything is like, we can't even like, this is not useful water. But if I can build up walls so the stream is clear, I can take out any of the rocks in the middle and we just flow. Ooh, you watch out. You watch out.
She just gave y'all an entire bag. An entire bag with a little bow and that kind of store where they walk you to the store and they bow on the way out. She just hooked you up with one of those, because that's very true. Like if you can streamline your process, a lot of times it comes from feeling inadequate by not doing all the things. And the problem is you don't really need to do all the things. Your audience might not be all of them places either, right? And it's better for you to get focused and concentrated on a particular situation. It's a horrible analogy, but it's the easy one. Sniper is, for the most part, more effective than a shotgun. It's simple, and that's a little dark, but that's the truth. That's the easy way to explain it. Man, this was really good. I like this process because it even allows you to reflect on your own stuff. And like I said, it's important to take inventory. Tomorrow's the 1st, okay? So you might listen to this after the fact. It doesn't have to be the 1st. It just helps. Even if you're listening to this at a later date and say you happen to catch this on a weekend and tomorrow is Monday, it's a good place to start. You can always start anywhere. I always hated things like my New Year's resolution. I could do my New Year's resolution on September 1st. I could do my New Year's resolution on September 21st. You can just start. You don't have to wait for some arbitrary day. But just for the sake of conversation, tomorrow's the 1st. So today would be a good day to do an inventory of what you have in your creative workflow and start to pare things down to see if it can help you speed up. If you find yourself truly missing an element, you can put it back. But I think you should just start with camera, mic, good light, comfortable seat, and just crank out some stuff. And then once you're like, all right, this is kind of gangster, throw the hair clip back in. Well, put the hair clip back in, or that little special sound effect, that whatever you need, and then sort of go back. And I see many just mentioned the 12-week year. Mary Lou is a 12-week year phenom. That is Mary Lou's life. I'm just starting to learn about what it is. And yeah, this is a good time to reassess, especially with the last 4 months of the year coming up. This is a good time to get gangster so that you could close out 2024 like you meant it, do some damage, and actually make some progress. And we're here to help you get there. So if you need some, holla.
Well, this was a fantastic conversation. This show is Creators Unstuck. My name is Mary Lou Mandel. You can find me all over the internet at Mary Lou Mandel.
And I am Doc Rock. You can find me all over the internet at Doc Rock in most places. And we did it again. I feel like
we did it again.
You can now say that you have been successfully unstuck.
Boop. See you.
That's the best part. Oh, that's the best
This
part.
is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now.